the idea of single family rentals being a way to get cash flow, in my opinion, is dead. Like, I just don't think it's real anymore. The average house in Vegas is $500,000. It rents for $3,000. So, the mortgage on $500,000 is going to be like $3,500.
Correct.
We're not talking about even the property management, the repairs, the vacancies. You're going to lose over $1,000 a month just buying a normal house in like a normal city. Like, Vegas ain't like this super expensive place like California. This is a normal metro, and we're seeing this all over the country.
So I don't even own my own house anymore. I rent, and I see a
Why do you
lot of
rent?
people. Because exactly what you just said, for me to go get the type of house or even the condo that I want, for me to purchase it, it's going to be double what I pay to rent.
Yeah, I don't even know why that person's renting it to you, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not cash flowing unless you bought a big apartment. Then okay, if you're in like a big multifamily, okay, then they have economies of scale with that unit. But dude, if you just bought like a multi-million-dollar home or something, it is not going to rent for your mortgage.
Correct, and that's what a lot of people are running into. And my friends and your friends, I see a lot of them that are like, hey, they've got these multi-million-dollar houses. They're renting them.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense, and they can move. And you talked to Grant Cardone, like that's his jam. He's like, I want to rent instead of own where I live.
100%. And that's not changing. A lot of people hate on Cardone, and him and I have become good friends over the years. And the more I've watched him the last 10 years and the things he was saying, the more I realize how accurate he was, like every step of the way.
Yeah. So if single family is not the answer, then we move into commercial and we move into small business.
I have very strong opinions on how you actually get cash flow, because I don't think most people are really looking at cash flow even the right way. Yeah.
Let's say more on that.
So, I mean, look, commercial real estate, you can obviously get cash flow. You pencil it out and everything else. Here's the problem, and I own it, right? The problem is it's a lot of management. It takes a lot of capital to buy it.
Sure.
It takes time for its value to be established and everything else. And truly, this is the truth with commercial real estate and all real estate in general. You don't really make the money until you sell it. In almost every fund, there's not really cash flow. Like, they might be able to give some dividends, but you're not making 12% cash flow off it every month. Like, the reality is the IRR is determined the moment they sell. And once they sell it, that's when your 20% plus return is actually realized. So really, an apartment in most cases and a development are just like long flips. That's honestly what they are. So then you look at small businesses and you're like, all right, a lot of people are making buy small businesses cool again. My friend Cody Sanchez is really spearheading that.
I just bought a business before walking in here.
Oh, what'd you buy?
It's a commercial kitchen hood cleaning company.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's
we just bought it.
interesting.
Yeah, signed the DocuSign right before walking in here.
Okay.
Like 10 minutes ago.
All right. So buying businesses is becoming a thing. Now, here's the thing, right? If you're buying it for like passive cash flow, then, I don't know how much you plan to scale that business or if it's already like fully realized to its potential. But most of these like small businesses that we're talking about, like service companies and everything, you're buying it for what it is for the most part, right? If you go buy a laundromat, it basically is what it is. You might be able to improve it a little bit, but that's not even why you're buying it. You're buying it because you want cash flow.
Day one.
Right.
Yeah.
And with a small business like that, it's all right, there's clearly a cap. You've got to raise capital to buy this thing. And dude, it's a business. Like, you're managing the marketing, the sales, the ops. You got to get the freaking washers and dryers replaced. There's just stuff to it, just like any other business. So can it be passive? Absolutely, if you hire the right people. But all in all, it is what it is. It requires capital, it requires work, and it's just capped.
Yeah, and it's like the number one thing that I've learned, and I'd like you to riff on this, is it's really a spectrum. Like, passive income is a spectrum. It's not binary. It's not like active or passive. It's the degree to which it's passive.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
100%. Everything requires work. So I just looked back at my career the last 10 years and I was like, what have been like the most passive things for me? What's been like the most cash flow for me? And I just kind of looked at it and I said, I still have been flipping and wholesaling the whole time for the last decade. And I've spent an hour or two a week at that business and it's made millions of dollars. Like, in the end, isn't that what we're all looking for? Something that makes a boatload of money that you don't really spend a lot of time on? And wouldn't you be looking for like a return that is like far exceeding the risk? And so the more I started to think about this idea, I was like, I have a new way of looking at cash flow. So I've just been like coining it cash flow 2.0.
Hot damn.
Yeah, little marketing play. But essentially, it's, to me, the best thing that you could hope for when it comes to cash flow is something that has, let's just call it infinite scale, right? Because these brick and mortar businesses have a cap. So something that has infinite scale. So we know that digital stuff and everything else has way more scalability than brick and mortar. Okay. So it would have infinite scale, which leads you to have like far higher profits and revenue and everything else. The next thing you would look at is risk. Okay, give me something that has minimal risk. We know flipping houses has massive risk. I've lost millions flipping houses over the years. I've made millions, but I've lost millions. So we got to look at the risk. And then we got to look at the time. How much time do we spend in this business or looking over this asset? Because even though you have rental property, let's just say you were buying single family rentals, like you still got to spend a lot of time finding your next deal. You know, analyzing numbers, managing the manager, like those things all still happen. And so I just started to think, okay, in my whole career, out of everything I've done, what has like the highest return with the least amount of risk and the least amount of time? That's the golden goose. And it just occurred to me that it's always been my wholesaling business. Because when you think about wholesaling in a nutshell, it's you don't need capital, because you don't need to buy the properties. So we eliminate basically the entire risk portion of the deal, because capital is the thing that really has risk. Return-wise, I don't know many other things where really in the wholesale business, all you got to do is invest in marketing. And you could invest a few thousand a month or 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month. And what other business could go make 100,000 a month, 200,000 a month without any like cost of goods, without any, you don't need huge labor. You could get away with just like a salesperson or two. Like it just doesn't exist. And so you start to look at the business of wholesaling, has scalability, its risk is super low. And then if you build it right and you get the right team, your time can be very minimal. And so I'm like, that's the golden goose, but you got to do it the right way, right? There's ways to do it, how to automate your lead flow, how to build the right sales process to turn and convert those leads, how to maximize your buyers on the back end. Like all those things have to happen to get that. But just from the get-go, if you're starting a business from scratch today and you were to compare that business versus, say, a laundromat, it's not even close.
Correct.
Like a laundromat will be capped on what it can make. It will require way more capital to get it started. It requires way more people, way more time and headache, and it's way slower to build up. You and I know we can find a real estate deal today that could make us a boatload of money.
100%. And that's the thing about laundromats, especially like in the business buying space, is the less complex, like the less complexities that there are, the less room there is for value add. Because in real estate, it'd be like the equivalent of buying a house that's already fully furnished for a short-term rental. Like that's a laundromat. And there's stuff that you have to do like retooling and everything. But I originally was going to buy a laundromat back in the day. And then after talking to a bunch of laundromat owners and being at the freaking closing table, I was like, wait a second, back it up. What's my vision for what I want to do? And do I really want to be managing these people? And do I want to be managing this clientele? And the answer was just straight up,
and you're probably
no.
like, what's my upside?
There is no upside. So,
and how much were you going to buy the laundromat for?
I was looking at buying one for $270,000.
Okay, so let's just take that perfect example, right? You were willing to spend $270,000. Now, whether it was cash or whether you were going to get a business loan, I don't really care. $270,000 was at risk. And then your upside was already capped at whatever it could be. And you knew the time and headache in order to hit that upside it was going to take. To me, that's just a terrible proposition.
Yeah, that was awful.
But people are like loving it.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking it's passive income and they're like, dude, I can make 10 grand a month from this laundromat. And I'm like, no, guys, I don't even need you to spend 270. Invest 10 grand a month into a wholesale business, into marketing to get leads, into some education to learn how to do it. 10 grand a month. You don't need a brick and mortar. You could do it from your home. You could do it virtually. Like you literally could do it for 10 grand a month. And that's all your risk is.
Yeah.
And then guess what? You could go pop a deal that makes you 20 grand, 30 grand, 40. And guess what? It's all profit. There's nothing in between. You don't have, like, you have a commission. That's your overhead. And it's crazy to me that business actually exists.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it the whole time. But now that I've tried all the other businesses and I've explored all the other opportunities, I'm like, if I was trying to get cash flow, I would be trying to put money I would be putting towards a laundromat or these other things and really just try to make this thing work, because I've done it the last 10 years. And that's the thing that's just always chugged along in the background as I've pursued other things. And it's allowed me to pursue other things. It allowed me to build my podcast, to throw cool events, to build other companies. If I didn't have that going in the background, none of those other things would happen.